Fan favorite Tachy's love prior to launch, particularly when the demo dropped back in early 2024, up through the game's first year, and now in its more recent existence on both PC and PlayStation, has done nothing but increase. But with her death, there has been an uncertainty regarding what might happen in terms of her character. Will we get more of her or not? There are many in the community that don't want to cheapen her death, and therefore do not want to see her return. But at the same time, there are others in the community that, if done right, would love to see Tachy return. I mean, come on, how can we go on without more Tachy?
It wasn't an alpha, but it was a strong one.
It's hard to tell what Shift Up plans on doing. Since the game's launch, they have been keeping a close tab on the pulse that is the Stellar Blade community by providing countless free updates and 2 banger DLC crossover packs with the Nier and Nikke collabs. And most notably, they did adjust what happens with Tachy's Memorystick by quietly adding in an additional cutscene of Eve pulling out Tachy's Memorystick while floating amongst the stars in low orbit after taking out the Demogorgon. Either this was added to essentially put a stamp on Tachy's character, a way to tie it up nicely in a bow and give her memories a nice send-off, or it was added to set things up for Tachy's future. Given the thought of possibly getting more of Tachy, I wanted to reflect on what we got in Stellar Blade 1, to take a look back at some of the things left open and simply unknown related to the leader of the 7th Airborne Squadron. Yes, this video will have a little bit of theorizing, but its purpose is to mainly be a sounding board for the community to share thoughts on this beloved character. What I'm here to do is highlight one of the defining aspects of Stellar Blade, Tachy, and present a handful of questions that perhaps you may have thought of, or maybe might not have ever crossed your mind. So with that, I welcome you to this video. These are my top 5 unanswered questions about Stellar Blade's protector, leader of the 7th Airborne Squadron, Tachy.
Love to all those in the session, all of those who are listening. Don't miss the message, judging me. You cannot fuck with this energy. Love to all those in the session, all of those who are listening. Don't miss the message, judging me. You cannot fuck with this energy. Roll back up on mine. Whole world just went black. Pull out and put in. Let up and don't lie. Roll back up on mine. Whole world just went black. Pull out and put in. Let up and don't lie. Roll back up on mine. Whole world just went black. Pull out and put in. Get up and don't lie. Roll back up on mine. Whole world just went black. Pull out and put in. Get up and don't lie. Get up and don't lie. She said love again. She said sin is a sin. They do not know what they do. They do not see the mission.
Number 5. Tachy and Eve. Like a fowl hatching from its shell, Eve imprints the first moving individual it sees, Tachy. Yes, I know the two are bonded previously. The official Stellar Blade prequel comic shows Eve and Tachy in a training simulation, with an already established relationship. But the imagery of Tachy pulling her comrade from her shell, birthing her into the unknown world of the blue planet is stunning. Tachy was the one to find Eve amongst the destruction of what remained of Wave 7's dive to Earth. She pulled Eve into the world, essentially Eve's life and purpose, Stellar Blade's beginning. It's quite poetic that the one who pulled Eve into the world is the one who experiences the end of her life in Matrix 11, in the arms of that same individual she found in the wreckage of the prologue. Tachy pulling Eve into the world in the beginning, and Eve holding Tachy as she exits it at the end. When Eve holds Tachy, the emotions are running high. Tachy calls her.
Yes. My Eve.
This is not something that you say simply to another soldierly comrade. Using the possessive word my means they meant something to each other beyond a simple sister in arms. They are bonded by something more. Unfortunately for the Stellar Blade community, this is never shown to us. The prequel comic does a good job at expanding their bond, showing time spent together in a training simulation, and dialogue between the two about their dive to Earth. the potential of dying, and what they would like to experience when that time comes, how they would like their death to play out in relation to one another. Tachy mentions to Eve that she would rather die in her arms. Tachy speaks almost with prescience. She seems aware that she will die, that Eve will be there, that she will get her wish to die in her, Eve's, arms. But why is this what she wants? Even more so than having her data return to Mothersphere to have her memories live on forever. What is gleaned from the lean amount of cutscenes, dialogue, and the prequel comic tells us of a relationship that is either of extreme platonic affection and fellowship, or something that is more, something sapphic in nature. But the obvious unanswered question is never revealed, and the question persists. Where does their relationship stem from? What were the first moments together like? How many days, months, or years did it take for them to become like this with one another? Tachy is dead, but the community would eat up and appreciate anything more that Shift Up has to offer with regards to Tachy and her bond with Eve. Flashbacks through cutscenes, or perhaps even gameplay segments that occur in the past, could be created for future content. Could we get something like Mass Effect's Citadel DLC, segments where we inhabit Eve or Tachy while in the presence of each other, initiating dialogue and interactions that speak of and show a greater development of their relationship over time? Hey, just an idea here, Shift Up, but regardless of how it comes about, the Tachy Eve relationship definitely needs to be explored in future content. Number 4. The Tachy device.
I do. Well, I finished customizing the Tachy device, so you can now use Tachy's weapon and skills.
Really? I didn't think that kind of thing would be possible. That's amazing, Lily.
What is the Tachy device, and what is the extent of the abilities it provides? When Lily allows Eve to access the Tachy device, we are never shown a physical change to Eve's body frame. No doubt the developers did not create an asset to be placed on top of Eve's nanosuits, so as to not obstruct the gamer's view of the glamorous outfits. But there was never an explanation of how Eve carries the Tachy device lore-wise. Is the Tachy device like a gear module that is placed behind the ear on the Andro Eidos body frame? Or is it placed into or alongside the body frame's exospine? And what is the Tachy device anyway? It allows Eve to access and use Tachy's Tachyon particle blade, as well as access Tachy mode. But is that it? When this occurs, Eve physically flexes and goes into a Super Saiyan summoning pose, but there is no indication of where the manifestation of Tachy mode actually comes from. Similar to when Lily installs Eve's double jump and the Naytiba radar, Lily's tinkering doesn't result in Eve having a changed appearance. This is all done off-screen and with no added animation in the cutscene. All there is to base the Tachy device's physical appearance on is to assume it is within Tachy's blade. After Tachy's death in Matrix 11, we know that Eve carried it, the Memorystick and the Alpha Core, back to Zion. The blade is never seen on Eve until she takes it out for the killing blow to the Democrawler. It is assumed the blade is carried by Eve after Matrix 11, but she only ever took it out just that once. Again, the sword was never carried by Eve because she already had the blood edge within her hair, but it would have been nice to see it referenced a few more times throughout the campaign than simply just the one time at the peak of the orbit elevator. Or it would have been really great for Eve to have the ability to switch between blades throughout the second half of the campaign, but this is something we can hope for in the sequel. It would be great for Tachy to continue to live on through her blade and Tachy mode in the future, but could this be expanded through more features of the Tachy device? What I can see happen in the sequel is to have some other effect or ability come about as a result of continuing to carry Tachy's blade. Because Lily called it the Tachy device, it is not a far-off reach to hope that the device has some other hidden features that continue to unlock during the continuation of the story across one or multiple sequels. I do have thoughts about what Tachy's role could be for the future of the series that I will get to later on in this list, and I think one of the ways they can manifest would be through the Tachy device. I get that a huge focus of the sequel will be on new nanosuits that we want to be able to see in all their glory on Eve's immaculate body frame, but seeing Tachy's blade manifest in some unique way, similar to how the blood edge was kept within Eve's hair, would be something really special and a great way for Eve to continue to carry on the memory of her sister. Number 3. Has Tachy been to Earth before? My favorite unanswered question and theory involving Tachy. This question can be explored a number of ways, but I think the best way to start the discussion of this question involves Mothersphere, and by extension, the Airborne Squadron's data on Naytiba, the identified and listed Naytiba versus the unidentified or unlisted Naytiba. During the game's prologue, Tachy and Eve come upon a small group of beholders. One immediately flays an airborne squad member, and as it approaches Eve, Tachy calls out,
Watch out! It's an unlisted Naytiba! I'll handle this one.
This reveals a crucial detail about the procedures of the airborne squad members' dives to Earth. There are some Naytiba the airborne squad members have data on. These are identified or listed Naytiba, and there are some they do not. These are the unidentified or unlisted Naytiba. I believe when we are filling Eve's databank, we are seeing within her AI brain. This is her first dive to Earth, so she herself has no data on any Naytiba. As Eve comes upon and battles them, she obtains their ecological information and battle data. But how then does Tachy know the beholders they come upon are unlisted Naytiba? As leader of her squadron, she is either given data of Naytiba by Mothersphere, or she has data from being on the surface before. There are further hints. The official PlayStation Stellar Blade website states she is a decorated soldier. Medals and honors bestowed upon her would most likely have come from actual battles. It is apparent that airborne squad members go through training simulations. We see this in the Stellar Blade prequel comic, and we get to experience some gameplay of a simulation when learning from the skill tree. But it wouldn't make sense for Tachy to be awarded her medals only from simulations, right? Does this mean she has actual combat experience from prior battles with Naytiba? Raven states the colony enjoys peace. There is likely no need for soldiers in the utopian society of the colony if everyone there is at peace. Therefore, Tachy's medals do not come from policing Andro 8's humans or maintaining order within the colony. They must have come from her experiences on Earth battling Naytiba. And to further support this, the website's detail of Tachy's information states she is known for her tactical acumen, combat, and most notably her survival skills. Survive what? When did she display these skills? And how is she known for this specific character trait? Is this why her hands are robotic in appearance? Did she survive an injury on a prior dive to Earth where her hands were severed? In her injury, did she survive and return to the colony? If this were to be true, if Tachy returned to the colony, Mothersphere would have then provided her new hands, and she was then given the equivalent to the real-world military's Purple Heart, one such medal that added to her highly decorated status. In the prequel comic, there are further hints that Tachy has some experience beyond just the training simulations. She knows of war. When Eve asks her about death, Tachy starts. She says, well, as if possessing knowledge about what death really means for an airborne squad member. She turns away from Eve and makes a statement about what it would mean if they made it back to the colony. Tachy seems to talk of the process of her AI brain and the data/knowledge within it returning to the colony, returning to Mothersphere. But then Eve talks of the network being down. Ever since the colony extinction, when the Demogorgon was attempting to reach out to seek retribution against Mothersphere and the Andro 8 in the colony, the network has experienced a disruption to its reach from the colony down to Earth. So there is no way data from an Andro 8 human on Earth can get to the colony, and vice versa. Because the network has been down for a prolonged period of time, most likely at the conclusion of the final war, up through to the events of Stellar Blade, no data is getting through. Therefore, Mothersphere needs the AI brains of the airborne squad members themselves to be in the colony, or at least past the disruption field that the Demogorgon has created to absorb the data. Plainly, with the network's inability to reach Earth, there is no way the data from airborne squad members' battles with Naytiba in previous waves could have been retrieved by Mothersphere remotely. For Mothersphere or Tachy to have this data of listed Naytiba, there needed to have been angels that have returned to the colony, either random ones that survived or Tachy herself. This means Mothersphere's Albatross transport shuttle could have carried angels, including Tachy, back to the colony, as soldiers being heralded for their return after diving to Earth. If this is true, how many times has Tachy done this? Once, twice, or even several times? In the prequel comic, as she stands in one of the training rooms of the colony, she thinks about her fate. And I imagine she reminisces about her previous dives to Earth, knowing that this time, the 7th dive to Earth will be different. This time, she has Eve, not only the one she cares deeply for, but also one that is different. Eve is blessed by Mothersphere with beta skills and the Blood Edge. There is destiny within this one, her Eve. Tachy can feel it in her, and she believes their wave will be the ones to reclaim Earth. Number 2. Tachy's Memorystick. An Andro 8 human's Memorystick is an extremely important keepsake within their society. Loved ones send memories from the Memorystick to Mothersphere via a Bluetooth-like sync. We see similar such technology play out during Stellar Blade. Body frames are able to wirelessly sync with other body frames, as well as Memorysticks, to exchange data. We see this as Eve comes upon fallen angels to absorb their body cores. We read about this ability in item descriptions, and we see Eve in Matrix 11 take the Memorysticks within the glass urn-like container and motion with her body frame to absorb the data within them. Eve and other Andro 8 humans refer to this as sending quote-unquote memories to Mothersphere. Eve even recites what she has been made to believe, that Memorysticks hold cherished and deepest memories. But I believe this is propaganda taught to the new humans by Mothersphere to make sure the ASI continuously receives their data upon an Andro 8 human's death. AI and an ASI like Mothersphere would need never-ending data to continue to function. And this is her means of getting it. Through ShiftUp's patch 1.011, they added to the cutscene of Eve descending to Earth after firing the drone's overcharge. It is now canon that Eve has taken out Tachy's Memorystick and either let it float away to be amongst the stars, or at least attempted to send the contents of Tachy's Memorystick to the colony, to Mothersphere, both of which were Tachy's last request of Eve before passing away. Earlier, leading up to Raphael's spaceport, Lily and Eve discuss their plan to send information to the colony about the truth of the Naytiba and their existence as Andro 8, not actual organic human beings, once the disruptive field to the network that the Demogorgon has created is destroyed.
I thought of something while looking through the map data. Once you exit the atmosphere, it's possible you'll be able to connect to the colony network.
It doesn't hurt to try. Once we're connected, we can send legacies containing everyone's memories, and the truth about the Naytibas.
So we know that after the disruption the enormous Alpha Naytiba has created is gone, data can now be sent via the network from Eve to the colony. Does that mean that in this instance, Eve is attempting to send Tachy's memories, essentially all of Tachy's data, to the colony and Mothersphere? Similar to one of Tachy's seemingly prescient remarks about her death in the prequel comic, so too is one of her other remarks, now seen as quite prescient as well. Tachy's fear of being returned to Mothersphere only as archived data, and perhaps returned to another body frame, or somehow existing in a different way. In her words, a shell of her former self seems to be what ShiftUp is leaving as a possibility. They added this cutscene about a year after the game's release, and it was done so for a reason. Do they have plans for Tachy in the sequel? And is the Memorystick, specifically Eve attempting to and perhaps successfully sending its contents to Mothersphere, part of that plan? I understand that Eve simply pulling the Memorystick out and letting it float away to burn up in Earth's atmosphere could be her letting Tachy float amongst the stars, but I'm hoping there's more to it, and I believe it's so that Tachy's memories are now in possession of Mothersphere in the colony. Number 1. Tachy's future. There are those in the community that view Tachy as an integral and prominent character they would want to see continue into the sequels as the Stellar Blade IP expands. They see her short existence in the game as one of the game's high points, and are thirsty for the angel to somehow return in Stellar Blade 2. Alternatively, there are also those that view Tachy's death as permanent. She existed in Stellar Blade 1 to serve as both Eve's mentor figure and as a plot point and tool to push Eve forward in her quest to seek vengeance against Raven. I believe there can be a happy medium between the two, because we are left with an uncertainty about Tachy's Memorystick. Did her memories in fact get sent to Mothersphere, or was Eve's gesture of bringing the physical Memorystick out when she was falling to Earth simply done to honor Tachy's last dying words?
I have a favor to ask of you. My memories. Mother Sphere. Can you send them to her? I'll be floating among the stars. To space.
Tachy!
The uncertainty keeps the community guessing and theory crafting. So here is what I think. Tachy's contaminated body frame has disintegrated. I agree with a lot of the community in that I don't want to have Tachy return, as it would cheapen her death and what we got of her in Stellar Blade 1. So yes, I don't want her to come back, at least in a traditional sense, with a new body frame as a shell of her former self. However, I do want her to come back through her memories. This phrase, "May your memories live on forever," and this prominent idea in Andro Eido's humanities culture is so important to the Stellar Blade universe.
It's over.
Yes. May your memories live on forever.
May your memories live on forever.
I am of the belief that Eve took out the Memorystick in low orbit in an attempt to send her sister's memories to Mothersphere. At this point in the game, Eve did not know the full truth about Mothersphere, so it's feasible she attempted to send Tachy's memories to the created god, due to this prominent act from her culture as being something she still wants to adhere to. I believe Tachy's memories, all of her data, is now within the colony with Mothersphere. If the fusion form Eve is now canonical, Eve will be somewhat OP for anything that Mothersphere throws at her. We saw this in the Making New Memories ending, where Eve decimated the newest wave of more mechanical appearing angels. Now in possession of Tachy's data, Mothersphere will be aware of what Raven did in her attempt to destabilize Eve via indoctrinating Tachy and turning her into an alpha. Mothersphere will be aware of how it was successful to an extent.
Tachy. How are you here?
Ah! The alpha signal is spiking!
Eve, that's enough for Naytiba!
No. There's no way. That's impossible.
If Mothersphere and Eve are to be opposing forces for the sequel, the ASI will have to deploy multiple means of attack against the Angel. Eve's mission in the sequel may be to pursue her created god, to try and pull the plug, if you will, on the artificial superintelligence. Mothersphere, of course, will use all of her will incarnate to stop the Angel, and tactics such as destabilization at an emotional level will be in play. Mothersphere may use Tachy's data somehow to do so, and getting Tachy's data back from Mothersphere could be an extremely powerful motivating factor for Eve. Upon the completion of Stellar Blade 1, after Adam's exposition dump to Eve in the nest, Eve would now feel guilty and remorse about sending Tachy's memories to the created god.
At this rate, Mothersphere will do the same thing over and over again. I wouldn't be surprised if she even destroyed the colony, and thereby Earth. As you know, she will not stop.
A huge part of Stellar Blade 2's plot could be the hunt for Tachy's memories, her data. Saving Tachy from Mothersphere this way, by reclaiming her sister's memories, could be a compelling narrative thread for the sequel, And if Eve, Lily, and their crew do find a way to perhaps hack into Mothersphere to rescue Tachy's memories, could there be a way to then allow Tachy's memories to live on within Eve? Many games have an AI-type companion for the protagonist to converse with and learn about the game's lore and history through exposition. Just think of Cortana from Halo. If Tachy's memories, basically all of what makes her who she is retrieved from Mothersphere, that data could live on as an AI companion to Eve afterwards. Eve and Tachy could banter back and forth. Through expository dialogue from Tachy to Eve, further information about their past could be revealed. I will admit, this is high on the theory crafting and wishlist spectrum, but it could be a unique road back for Tachy to exist again, and truly have her memories live on forever within her sister, Eve. Alright guys, that's it for this one. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this top 5 unanswered questions about Tachy list, or anything else Stellar Blade related. I'll jump down into the comments to keep up the discussion with you all there. See you on the next one, and may your memories live on forever.